Hey, folks, you know the old saying, the best laid plans lay asunder? Well, these are the best laid plans that say asunder. So bear with me. I'm a little bit behind schedule today. I didn't get the thing I intended to do, which is to work on the last thing about the franchise business model. I promise you I'll get back to you sometime this weekend, possibly, or maybe Monday, with a follow up on that information when I get a little bit more. Unfortunately, what's happened is, as I always say about things, life happened. Anyway, enough said about that. It's Mike, and I'm from my two Loonies worth. It's would have been Friday, but now it's actually Saturday because it's actually crossed over time. So basically, what we're gonna have is a Friday show on Saturday. It's gonna be Saturday morning when this is finally published and done. So what am I gonna do with this? Okay, I'm gonna just tell you about what's going on in my life recently. Give you highlights about what's happening that may affect the channel briefly in terms of the overall output, and keep you on the best of what the future may be now that some rather good things have happened recently that are going to help a lot. First of all, I finally got my money back from Murray Canada, and guess what? I got as much as I expected, which is good because now I can go ahead with some of the plans to make expand not only the channel but the whole business, taking care of some much needed final little things I need to do. One of those today was I purchased a nice UPS battery for the UPS I bought just recently used for $25. So now I just saved myself a ton of money because the unit was a cyber power unit, which would have cost me about $150 to buy brand new. Mind you, this is not burned. It's in pretty good shape though. I paid $25. I paid $40 or plus tax for the battery. So for much $65, that was $65. I got myself a power unit for about half or less the cost of what it because brand new. So it's going to help me out right now because I have one of my computers that's helping to back up my files. That's currently not protected out with anything because the unit I had before, the battery was starting to act up. It was an older APC unit, and now it's got a new unit that'll be replacing it as soon as it gets up. So there'll be lots of things done with that. Secondly, I'm hoping that sometime after I finish my other job, which is delivering advertising, I'll be able to finally get around to picking some of the studio things up, including the new T-shirts. Ordering those new T-shirts have been something I really wanted to do for a while. I designed the new design a while back. The old design was basically cobbled together from a little bit of work that my brother did originally that he provided me, and I just finished it up as best I could. The new design, however, is also a bit of a team effort, but in this case, it was mostly his work and a little bit of AI's help. The coin is done by AI, and the rest of it's done by his creativity, and the final touches were modifications were mine, putting it all together into a final package, which I think is a great job, and I hope it represents the type of work that we can produce for people if they want to have work done for them. Because we do have a business doing that. We were doing that before that. We had a computer business that did graphic arts and design. That was part of it because I had a bar graphic arts background. My brother is more on graphic arts than that. He's an artist person. He's a drawer. He's a creator of art, whether it be musical art, whether it be drawing art or whatever. He's very good at all those things. Unfortunately, like most of us, artists are not rewarded in society that much. We don't value art. Art's not a very important thing to most people's society. It's not the most practical skill. I mean, a person that cuts butchery or a police officer, somebody does a practical skill that benefits a generation of society, and that's not a cultural benefit. It's intrinsically considered more important. Hence, why most people that are artists tend to end up working everyday jobs. They work everyday jobs every single day so that they could have time for their art because that's their passion. And very few people get to have the ability to do art as a profession and make a living at it. To art to entertain us, to inspire us, to educate us, to enlighten us, to make life not just about living in existence, but about beauty and culture. Unfortunately, those same people also, as many commentators on the YouTube field, as far as the actor type profession, there are a lot of people refer to them as what they call adult pretenders. I think it's kind of a neat term because it actually kind of refers to what actors kind of do. Well, it's not just adults that do this, obviously, but adults are the predominant ones that do this particular craft. They're people that are pretending to be other people. And then sometimes that means they're telling historical dramas, which means there is a relevance in the message. But also, you got to remember, like any little story, there's artistic license, there's biases, there's the history, there's the benefit of hindsight, there's historical editing for context. Let's face it, in history alone, the winners always write the history, not the losers. The losers are not around anymore to write that history. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. This is not the one thing I want to talk about today. I was originally going to be talking about the show I went to and to go into more detail. I was hoping to get the chance to do that. But unfortunately, since my work calls first, the paid work comes first. And I was able to have an opportunity to do that. Some of that today, and I had to go out today as well because my fiance took yesterday off and sort of cannibalized our schedule a little bit. But what we ended up doing is we ended up picking up, sometime this week, picked up my main job, the one that pays bills this week, and I have to do that. So I went and did that today, and we did some other things. Went and did some shopping. We went to pick up some things that we need to pick up today as well because she didn't go to work on Thursday. She didn't have her laptop, so she had to go to Gatineau. So because of going to Gatineau to get her laptop, so she can do her job at home for the Monday and Tuesday when I work, to allow me to work, she had to go there and get her laptop. Otherwise, she would have had to go to work, and I wouldn't have had access to the vehicle. This is kind of like the compromise that people make. Everyone makes every day when they have a family unit. Like a car was something I never had most of my life. I had cars briefly and infrequently, and when I did have them, I didn't really have the opportunity to take advantage of them. I didn't have the license at the time. I let other people take advantage of them for me, and what happened was that was the problem. I never, ever took responsibility to learn myself how to drive. And by the time I did learn how to drive, it came later in life. And now I'm with someone that obviously has more experience driving than I do. And I typically am scared of driving at nighttime, for example. I don't hate it. I can't stand it. Sometimes I don't even like driving in the daytime because there's a lot of very bad drivers out there. And sometimes maybe I'm one of them because I don't have as much experience as some of the more seasoned drivers. And I find that sometimes I make mistakes. Luckily, I've not been in a resulting accident for my mistakes. So it makes me wake up and learn. That's what I hope most of these drivers do. But unfortunately, most of them don't. Most of them continue making the same mistakes, and they rely on the more experienced drivers to cover up for their messes by not causing accidents, to be looking out ahead of time and predicting accidents. I see that every day when I'm on the car driving in with Monica. I point things at her because I know the fact that she's got distracted with driving, and there's sometimes just something comes out and second set of eyes helps. See things that she can't see things in the blind spot, because obviously I'm sitting in a different seat, I have a different perspective on things. That's what happens sometimes in life. Sometimes you can be a backseat driver in life, in the sense that if you're looking at somebody else's life, you can have a different perspective than you would have with your own life. This is why there's no such thing as true objectivity in terms of like life. Everything from your point of view, even no matter how objective you think you may be, is truly subjective, because it has to be. It comes from your point of view. You're the subject, and therefore anything you say and do is going to go through the filter of your own particular biases and opinion. So even if the most objective person, person that claims they're the most objective, ultimately in the day is also subjective. There's no such thing as objective morality. Every morality that exists that's given by humans to other humans is purely subjective, and is tempered through the filter of the attempt to reach objectivity. That is the gold standard. That's the gold standard we'd like to acquire, but we never get to. So anyone says that I've got objective morality is lying to you, because there is no such thing as objective morality. There's an aspiration of objective morality. There's an aspiration to objective anything. But since we're humans and we're biased and we have points of view and we are biased by our beliefs, we're biased by our life experience, we're biased by where we're born, we're biased by a lot of things. And of course, based on those biases, we tend to find ourselves, obviously, putting ourselves in that position where we attempt to be subjective, but we're clearly not. Wasn't what I want to talk about. That wasn't exactly what I was hoping to talk about, but like I said, this channel is about my 2 Loonies worth. And it's about me coming to terms with my truths. Truths that I haven't had to face myself. Things I had to discover my own over time. It took me 60 years to get to the point of recognizing some of the things I needed to do that were truths. That I had biases in the way of things, in terms of the way I was thinking, the way I saw life, and saw how the people in my life were, and how I attempted to have to figure out how to remove myself from the situation enough that I could see that where I went wrong. And it's not always simple as blaming the other person. It's easy to blame the other person. We always attempt to blame the other person and don't accept responsibility personally. I have attempted the best of my life to look from the point of view of the other person and realize that even in a situation where it seems that the other person's the one that's causing the situation the harm and you feel like the victim, ultimately, even in those situations, if you look back and really attempt to be as objective as possible, to attempt to look at it from their point of view, to attempt to look at it from the point of view of outsiders looking into the situation, Well, how would they see the situation if they were looking at it from the outside and their own subjective bias? But it's subjective from your point of view, you think, because the fact is it's not based on them being involved in any way, shape, or form. They may be involved, you don't know. But ultimately, we collect what we call objective bias from the subjective biases of all of us and try to attempt to figure out, see, the word try gets in there really dumb, attempt to figure out what the closest thing to what truth is. And that works the same in the justice system. That works the same in life, in every aspect of our decision-making process, and coming to conclusions about and making decisions about anything that it matters to anyone. Is we have to figure out a way to attempt to be as objective as possibly can, so that the information is not biased. But it's a lofty goal. It's an aspirational goal. It's a very noble goal, and we should always attempt to get to some place that is close to objectivity as we possibly can. Then, as mortal humans, they're flawed and have a lot of subjective biases and things built into us that are obviously going to make it very difficult to achieve that sort of high state of moral objectivity when it comes to anything. We do our best. We do our best. At least I think I do. Maybe I don't. Maybe some people may think they do, and that's their opinion. That's, again, the same thing I was talking about before that. The fact is that I went through most of life worrying about people's opinion, worrying about what people think about it, basing my self-worth, basing who I was as a person in the world, and my role in the world, and my value on what people else thought of me. Not me, not what I thought about myself, but what I built my self-esteem based on, not self-esteem at all. I based it on the opinions of others, or the perceived opinions of others. This presumption of opinion. Sometimes what ended up happening is I wouldn't ask the question, what do you really think of me? Do you like me? Do you not? For fear of thinking we know the answer. And in fear of what the answer might be, and exposing that answer and being revealed to be a fraud, that you actually were right all along, that the answer was that they don't like you. Or she doesn't like you. Or he doesn't like you. Whoever doesn't like you. And you're going to go through life with that time, no matter what. You're going to do things to make people not like you. They're going to make things that make you really hate you. Not intentionally sometimes, but what happens is people are in judgment of you. You're always constantly judged by other people, and you can't stop that judgment. No matter what you do or what you don't do, you can't stop judgment. All you can do is learn to handle when judgment comes along in a way that's graceful, dignified, and not letting people get to you to cause you to get angry. Because ultimately, people that are angry already want to get you angry with them to justify their moral high ground. If you don't let them, no matter what, and it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to do to avoid being angry about something, especially if it's something that they might be right about you in terms of what you might have done, and their opinion of what you've done, and the fact that they feel, since they have not done it before, as long as you don't know, that they get to choose you. But here's the thing that's about the ironic thing about that. A lot of people probably didn't think the royal family, like Prince Andrew, or a lot of other people that have been named in the Epstein files, for example, did what they did. Because sometimes people that have money and power can hide from truth in a way that most of us can't. In a way that most of us can't hide from truth. And that's not good. That's not right. But at the same time, what happens is we should be holding them to a higher standard of power anyway. We should be condemning them more than other people, than the ordinary folk that do things that go wrong, that make mistakes, make bad judgments, go wrong in life. And get to understand why the people do what they do, not just punish them for what they did as an afterthought. That's like closing the barn door after the horses have left. And this is the problem with society. We do not have enough people and resources put towards helping build societies and helping to put healthy families together and helping to put the structures together, the foundations. The thing is, if you think of families and domestication and the whole civilization as a foundation like a house. If you don't put the house on a solid foundation of concrete that's poured properly, that's got the right stabilizers and the right rock in it, which supports that, then no matter what type of house you build on that foundation, it's not going to last, because what's going to happen, the foundation's rotten. The house could look beautiful on the top, but the foundation could be terrible. Just get anyone in China that knows about tofu drag construction. That's the kind of thing that our society sometimes does. Our society sometimes exists on a consistency of tofu drag construction. You put up there and make it look nice with a minimal amount of effort, the minimal amount of expense, the minimal amount of time, thinking that if nobody sees it, if it doesn't happen, if nobody ever finds out about it, don't tell anybody. Just move on. We've done a good, pat yourself in the back and say, good job. So I think that's kind of like what happened to my life. A lot of my life was based on the fact that a lot of people, I got caught between the cracks, as just my parents did, and as those their parents did. Because we don't always have the time and resources to put towards taking care of the foundation. That goes from teaching kids about money in school, teaching kids about life. We teach home ec, but we don't teach about finances. Why not? Why don't we teach about finances? Finances are just as important, maybe more important than home ec. The fact is, if you make good money, you can afford to pay somebody to make your food, not have to make it yourself. The thing is that if you're bad with money skills, it doesn't matter how good a cook you are if you have no money to buy the food. So really, it's kind of a really crazy way of thinking. We educate people on history and geography, but we don't educate them on the things that they really need to do in their natural life. Knowing about history is fine. It's great. History, art, and math, all that's just like art. It's great to know art, but I'm going to tell you, if everyone doesn't get fed, then what's the point of having art? What's the point of having beauty if the people are starving while they're watching the artists work? Lots of very, very interesting thoughts there, I think. Anyway, I think I'm going to get in this broadcast because I've been doing this and getting to the point that a lot of times I would go off on some major tangents, and like last night, I went 30 minutes. It was a lot. So I think on that note, I'm going to attempt to put myself right and leave these more longer, extensive sort of expositions into things that are very important. Topics I think are very important to talk about. And maybe topics you might feel are important too, as well, that you might want to hear about my opinion from. On that note, I'm going to ask you, please, if there is topics like that you would wish to hear me talk about, or you would like to hear my opinion about, message me at info@intimemedia.ca. That's info@intimemedia.ca. Anything about those types of topics, comments and questions about the show, comments and questions about me personally, the fact that my hair looks like a little bit messy, I got to go get, ironically, the things, I had a shower today, washed my hair, but fortunately, given the fact I do sweat profusely, yes, profusely, anytime I go anywhere, I just produce a massive amount of sweat, my hair gets wet, and of course, that's the thing that goes first. It dries fairly quickly, but also I need a haircut. So what happens is tomorrow I'm hoping to get my haircut for the 3-month haircut. It's been a little while since I had my hair. I have a little bit of money now and funds to do that. Fortunately, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough money to get me to get the things done. Like maybe build my wall in the studio. That's one thing I want to do. I'll probably be starting that sometime middle of the month, the end of the month, when I finally get some time to actually sit down and do it after this campaign's over, which is probably about sometime mid-month, advertise it. So this weekend up, it's going to be really, really busy. I'm probably going to be, I might have a podcast, I might do a early podcast on Saturday afternoon instead of the Sunday one because I may be busy Sunday. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. And that note, I will post it on the channel. I hope anyone out there has checked out the other channel, All Wise Wisdom. I've been posting videos on both this channel and the other channel I do on the Sunday, hoping that maybe people at least see the broadcast, listen to the thing, and realize that eventually I'm going to start putting on this other channel because I don't want to clog the YouTube channel with all this extra data that's on there and confusing people with that type of content. And I'll maybe eventually remove the content once I establish there's enough of an audience on the other channel, and then I'll just tell people if they want to see the back catalog of content, they should go to the other channel where it's hosted. All the content will be hosted for YouTube, and eventually I think Rumble will be another platform I'll have as well. And I'm going to attempt to put on a few other platforms if they allow me to have multiple channels. So I want to put a lot of content out on a regular basis. I don't want to put a lot of quantity out. I'm just attempting to put as much quality content as I can. And I want to make sure it's original. And it's really hard sometimes, especially if it's non-scripted like this, to have me and not an intention to repeat things I've said before. And I want to make sure I don't do that. So that's why I'm asking you. Give me some topics to talk about. Not just about things that come off my head. Things that you like to know about that you just have questions about to me. Send them at info@intimemedia.ca. On that note, I'm going to end this podcast now because it's now going to be 19, 20 minutes. We're getting into a long one again. I don't want to do that. So end it right now. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook or any other platform like X, please check my YouTube channel out. My2Loonies.worth. Looniesworth.com. And also check out Wise Wisdom, the other channel that's on YouTube, and also Rumble if you don't want to go to YouTube. Anyway, for this Friday nights, now Saturday morning now, March 7th. Or is it 8th? 7th. It was 6th. It would have been 6th, but it's 7th. So it's Saturday, March 7th instead of Friday, March 6th. I'm Mike, and this is another episode of My Two Loonies Worth. And hopefully, like I said, I'll get back to you about the other topic about the franchising. Once I get some more information, once I get to talk to some of the franchises, I'll get back to you. And maybe I'll have some of them talk to me at discussions. I had some really good conversations there. I'm hoping to maybe carry that on into a more extensive thing online in the coming weeks. And it might be some interesting commentary. And people that may be interested in some of these particular products or franchises, then they can contact them there. And maybe I'll be able to help them spread the word about their products as well as maybe get some sponsors out of this mess. You never know. That's how you think the channel started. Well, every channel has to start from the beginning. The thing is, I know there's lots of views. There's 100 views. Keep up the views, folks. But please also like and look at the YouTube channel to subscribe. Because I don't think you can subscribe on other channels on Facebook yet. I mean, you can put comments there. Please put comments there if you're there. But I'd rather have you, if you have access to YouTube or what to use YouTube, or pay for YouTube especially, because then you don't have to worry about paying for ads. Get onto that platform there where I put more videos. And I'm hoping to eventually maybe add some more advanced content. And maybe I'll eventually add some content on my website, www.intimemedia.ca, which I do have to work on as well as building the store, the very store that will sell you the products that will help pay for this channel. Anyway, on that note, it's Mike signing off for Saturday, March 7th now. I'm supposed to be working Saturday, but it's late. Take care, folks. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.